Did you ever wonder how Golden Routes came about? Hi there, I'm Golden Routes, and today we'll be taking a look at the Golden Routes journey throughout the past, not even just 5 years of YouTubing, but the past like 10 years of content creating. So, to start things off with, before I go into the Golden Route side of things, I was known as Apache. I was also known as Apache Guides, the Arcanic Gamers, and then Golden Routes. So the reason why I mention that is because the last couple of times I have described what the journey was like for me, I never really specified much about the time before Golden Routes. I usually just talk about the time of Golden Routes. So today we'll take a look at the bigger picture. So for those who don't know, I have a character named Apache. I've been Apache for the last, let me look here. I've been Apache for the last, let me see here. Since 2014. So that is, what, 8 years? Yeah. So I've been Apache for the last 8 years, and these are the blogs that I have done throughout the past years. As you can see, a lot of them are Apache, and that is what I went by. You know, I was Apache. Um, So you're probably wondering what kind of content I used to create if it wasn't just all WoW related stuff, because as you can see here, there's a bunch of different blogs here with a bunch of different things. Apache's Life was my favorite one out of them all. Basically, I had just talked about my life, and I'm thinking about starting that back up. I'm not too sure on. I did try it a little bit, but again, I'm not necessarily too sure on whether or not I'm going to start this blog back up. Um, as you can see, there's a bunch of stories and photos and just stuff like that. So, while we're going through this journey, we might as well take a look at the Arcane Gamers if I still have anything up from the Arcane Gamers. I don't know if I do, because that was my brother and I's YouTube channel, and I had let him basically delete all of the content, which I now realize was a terrible idea. I should never have let him do that, but all that content should be somewhere around here though too. I think this is part of it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is part of the Arcane Gamers. Either way, even if not, the Arcane Gamers was later than born after about, let me think here, about 2 years of me being Apache. I was like, you know what, you want to create a YouTube channel with me? And he was like, yeah, let's create a YouTube channel. So we created a YouTube channel. I was the only one posting there for a while, so it became this thing where it was a little overwhelming because, one, I wasn't doing commentary at the time. You know, it was literally me just flying around. I'd show the map, fly around it a little bit, pick up a couple nodes, end the video, and call it a video. No, that's all the Arcane Gamers was at that point, was just a WoW, no commentary, WoW content guide, I guess, you know. Well, after that falling out, not really much of a falling out, but we didn't quite see eye to eye. He thought he deserved 50% of the earnings, and I felt like he didn't just because he wasn't uploading, you know, he wasn't doing his fair share, but it was our channel. So it was kind of hard to decipher whether or not it was justifiable for him to get paid. So I just stopped uploading on that channel altogether. and I was like, I'm going to blog about my guides, my findings. At this time, I was still known as Apache, and from there, I would upload content on Apache Guides. I think that's the name. I may have changed the. Actually, I don't know when Golden Routes became a thing because if we see, look here, this domain name is still, it's Wild Golden Routes. So that kind of confuses me, I guess, because I think this used to be Apache Guides, and I later changed it to Golden Routes after I was able to change it. Pretty sure that's what happened. Let's come back over here. Okay, yeah, it's looking like, oh, the Arcane Gamers. Here's some of the stuff, but all of the videos are taken down. But yeah, so there's all of that, and then you're probably wondering how Golden Routes even became a thing. How did I become Golden Routes? This guy who has 5,000 subscribers somehow. How did I get here from blogging to YouTubing and out of my comfort zone to do something that I really wanted to do, but I am doing it in a different way than what I really wanted to do it in. So what I really wanted to do was I wanted to be called Golden Routes, yes, but Golden Routes is going to be a blog, which we have right here. It was going to be a blog on WordPress, and it was probably going to look something a lot worse than this, honestly, because I was young at that time. I didn't know much about blogging. I didn't know much about website design. I didn't know much about what I was doing. I still don't know much of what I'm doing, but I do have help today, and I have some resources and a lot of stuff that will help help this site do better. Anyways, Golden Routes was then born. It took some time for me to think of a name. I'm not gonna lie. And when I mean some time, I mean like actively thinking about it. It probably took me a day to come up with, which to some of you may think that's not much time at all, but for a content creator and somebody who has dabbled in the writing industry for the last almost 10 years. Actually, I've been writing since I was in the 3rd grade, so I've been writing for a while, but I never actually wanted to do anything with my writings until about the last year of school. That's when I wrote a book. I got it published. It's not very good, so I'm not going to leave a link in the description or anything like that because it's not very good. But um, I was like, I really enjoyed writing. That was one thing I really, really enjoyed. And for some reason, I can't get back into it, but that's another story. Um, so basically, after Golden Routes was born, it took me a day to think about it, and I was like, this is the name, Golden Routes, because my original plan for Golden Routes, or the original name behind Golden Routes, was to imply what I was going to be doing. You know what I mean? So I love routes. That's what I was going to do. I was going to make routes, so it had to correlate to something with routes, right? So after that is done, after I got that thought in mind, I'm like, how can I do this? How can I name this channel something that is correlating to what I'll be doing? And I was like, gold routes, gold, because they're gold routes. And I was like, no, that's not catchy enough. So scrapped that idea. Gold routes was only the start, and I later then came up with golden routes, which I'm actually getting goosebumps talking about this now because it's been so long since I've thought about any of this, guys. So I'm hoping you're enjoying it as much as I am, but aside from that, you will notice something a little bit different here when I talk about golden routes later on in the video. Golden routes became much more than just golden routes. It became a way to look at life, if that makes sense. But let's go ahead and talk more about golden routes and how my channel became a thing. So, I'm sure some of you may have remembered or know that I've talked about this a little bit here and there, but I used to like to blog. You know, that's not a secret. I talked a lot about that in the beginning of this video. So you're probably wondering why I'm bringing it up again. Well, the whole idea behind Golden Routes was I was going to blog. You know, I was going to continue blogging. I was going to continue to do what I do best and write. I loved writing. You know, it was my favorite thing. Back then, I used to blog for a website called Otaku Cart. If you know of them, they've gotten a bit bigger since I've last wrote for them. Probably actually a lot bigger. I don't know their stats at the moment. I'll have to look them up at some time. But when I was blogging for Otaku Cart, I realized how much I really enjoyed blogging, and I kept trying to do World of Warcraft stuff, but it just wasn't working out necessarily. Then after that, the pages on Facebook for that website got taken down. And after that, the website just struggled. You know, it struggled tremendously. And I stopped working for them, and I wanted to branch off on my own and do Golden Routes guides. So after I branched off from Otaku Cart, I wanted to do a YouTube channel too, but I didn't want to be the face of the YouTube channel. I wanted somebody else to be the face of the YouTube channel. And so I was talking to people who played WoW and asked, and they were friends of mine too, you know, like not super close friends, but friends that also played WoW. You know, I figured what better way of doing that than to have me blog and have somebody else be the face of the channel. And I would blog about a route or a guide, and then they would go and cover that blog post that I had made and went on a, went about it that way. Well, that didn't work out. And as you may realize in this video, a lot of things don't work out for me. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and say that a lot of things don't necessarily work out for me. And maybe they do to an extent, but they don't fully work out, if that makes sense. So, after I couldn't get that person to make any videos for me, I was like, okay, I really want Golden Routes to be a thing. You know, like, this is the name. Golden Routes is the name, you know. And I wanted that name to be decently well known. You know, I didn't want to hide in the shadows anymore. I wanted to be known as Golden Routes. You know, because I had been told by several that my guides are pretty good or my routes are really good and such like that. This was back when I was in the Arcane Gamers. So that really inspired me to make good routes. So, after being told my routes were pretty good, I was like, I'm going to start blogging and I am going to start YouTubing because nobody else was going to do the YouTube for me, and nobody else had the vision I had for Golden Routes. So I started doing the YouTube videos, and if you go back to my very first video, which I can leave a link into the description below if you guys are interested, but you can tell I'm really nervous. Like, you can, there's a huge difference in how I used to talk back then compared to how I talk now. So this is partially why I wanted to go over this story or this journey with you guys, is because I rather enjoy this story. You know, this is one of my favorite stories to tell. Um, I take every opportunity to tell it as I can. I got like 500 new people watching me since I last went over this. So I figured I'd go over it again. Um, anyways, I was not a social person at all. I did not even talk to my family. That's how bad it was. I was basically mute, I think is the correct term. So, without me talking much to anybody, you know, no friends. Well, I had friends, but I didn't talk to them. I had family, I didn't talk to them. I had teachers, didn't really talk to them. I didn't talk to anybody, guys. So going from that to starting a YouTube channel is a huge, huge accomplishment on my end, right? So after I started the YouTube channel, I grew fairly quickly. I saw support from a lot of other YouTubers, like bigger YouTubers than I am, and we got along and all of that. You know, you got Sharkin, Dollar Gold Guide, Stun even gave me a shout out. Alchvador gave me a shout out. You know, you name it. Want to Buy Gold actually talks to me, and he's watched my content quite a bit, the way it sounds. So I've got a lot of support from a lot of these other YouTubers, and I was like, I want to continue to do this, but I have to get better. You know what I mean? Like, I had to get over that fear of talking to people. I had to get over that no commentary type stuff. I had, you know what I mean? I had to do better than what I was doing at that time, and I do believe I've done a lot better than what I am doing or what I was doing back then. But either way, Golden Routes later evolved into so much more than just a gold making YouTube channel. It became a way to express your life. And what I mean by that is basically golden routes can be looked at like a path, like a good path in life, you know. I want to do golden routes vlogs. So what I mean by that is I have this one story called The Mountain of Sand, and I wanted to go over that as golden routes because what it symbolizes is the accomplishment of defeating depression. So if that makes sense, I hope it does. I don't really know how else to explain it, but that is how Golden Routes has evolved into more than just Golden Routes. Well, after the new expansion hit, Dragonflight, I would have to say Golden Routes has taken a huge journey and ended up in a really decent spot. So we are looking at 5,117 subscribers at the moment, and we are continuing to grow. So I can't help to thank you guys. You know, I don't know how to, because I started off as somebody who couldn't even talk to his family to being able to talk to over 5,000 people. You know, and like to some that's not a lot of people, but to somebody like me who didn't talk to his family or friends or anybody, 5,000 people is a lot of people. You know what I mean? And I get real with you guys too. It's not like I'm just like, okay, this is where you go. This is what you need to do. This is what you'll get. Bye. I'm not like that. I get real with you guys. I try to be as fair as possible with my titles and all of that. So that's the journey for Golden Routes. If you have if anybody has anything that I have missed, please let me know, and I will try my best to go over those parts too. But leave a comment below what your favorite part of this is, and thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.